The large man stood in the corner of my dark room, peering at me through puffy slits surrounded by a century's worth of deep eye bags and crust. Every breath his ancient body took was accompanied by loud wheezing, and the occasional band of elastic spittle dripped from a bulbous head, which was 2, maybe 3 times the size of a normal man's. I estimated his height to be close to 7 feet, despite his Quasimodo-esque hunch, likely meaning his true size was much larger. Grease-covered, meaty hands hung limply at his sides, and long, jagged nails conjured images of him tearing into flesh and bone with ease. I cowered from the monstrous figure by my bedside, calculating how fast I could get the door open before he could move his hulking frame to drag me into the deepest pits of hell. Advertisements. We were at a stalemate. We analyzed each other for an uncomfortably long time, neither daring to make a move. There was an unspoken agreement that the first action of this encounter would set the stage for every succeeding event. I couldn't die here. A simple twitch of my foot in preparation for the sprint of my lifetime set this dark play into motion. His eyes grew to the size of baseballs, with pinpoint black dots tracking my every move. In hopes of creating some distance, I flung my bed sheets toward him, rolled to my knees, and scrambled forward like a frightened dog, hoping to escape. A primal scream erupted from my throat as I reached for the doorknob, my fingers barely touching it before I felt a sticky, warm feeling on my calf. I spun around and saw the man's hand had wholly wrapped around my leg like an anaconda suffocating its prey. Try as I might to kick the hand off of me, the immense strength of the homunculus was far beyond what the elderly appearance would suggest. The man's beak-like nose seemed to hone in on me, frantically wiggling in the air while he took in large sniffs in rapid succession. His disproportionately long arm creaked as it dragged me toward him. I scrapped the carpet until my nails bled, kicking and screaming like a desperate animal caught in a bear trap. A deep sound rumbled from the man that resembled a slow laugh. Finally, he brought me to him. His face was adorned with a large smile filled with hundreds of crooked yellow teeth. For a moment, he simply looked me over. It felt like he could see every cell in my body, and then he stopped. The man grabbed me by the shoulders and dropped me onto my bed. Advertisements again. I tried to make for the door, and again, I was dragged backward. This time, he made sure to slam me against the wall before placing me back on my bed as punishment for trying to run. This time, he put his hulking frame in the path. And then he spoke. He was slow and methodical. His voice was gruff, and his throat almost sounded as if full of sores, but it was still clear. You called for me. What? I said, holding back tears and an oncoming panic attack. The man puffed, stepped back, and pointed a long, crooked finger toward the ground. You call for me. Here, I am here. Again, I shook my head and eked out a weak, "No, I didn't." He stomped his foot, turned around, and made a harsh gurgle before turning back with his hands together in the form of a prayer. You call for me. A large smile crept back onto his face. His pupils rolled back into his head as his jaw unhinged from its previous position, and without moving his lips, a voice, almost like a record, came from his gut, and it was, Jesus, it was mine. I was crying. A deep sorrow was evident in every inhale. No wonder. I had been extremely depressed. Things in my life weren't anywhere near what I expected at 32. Financial struggles developed as I slowly saw my hopes and dreams slipping away. I was becoming just another person, another accidental birth who would eventually melt into the great gray fog of unremarkable, unimportant boringness. I'd leave no true mark on the world all the while. I'd have to deal with all the pain that came with it, the ever-growing darkness of the news cycle. My friends seemed to all be slipping away. My brother was sick. He didn't tell me with what, but he looked worse every time I saw him. My life was a constant cycle of blah and who cares, doing the same thing over and over and over again until eventually the grave called with a more permanent routine. And to top it off, I was lonely. A 3-year relationship had ended a couple months back. I was feeling the pain and bitterness of every moment I had to endure, knowing that despite my efforts, I wasn't good enough for other people, despite seeing those who were objectively worse. People be happy and raise families. Suffice it to say, I was very depressed. I wasn't religious. I left religion a while ago, but I suppose some repressed part of me held on to spirituality strongly enough to force me to say a prayer tonight. The same prayer now coming from this monster's mouth. Please, I don't know who or what is out there, I said, fighting back tears. I'm doing really bad right now. Very fucking bad. I don't know where I'm going or if it's even worth heading there. I've tried to be a good man. I haven't always been successful. But damn it, I've tried. If you're up there, please send me something to guide me in the direction I'm meant to go. I don't need to be a billionaire or a CEO. All I'm asking, all I need is a guardian angel to guide me towards purpose, and maybe, if I'm lucky, a bit of happiness. Please. When my begging ceased, the creature's jaw snapped back into place with a disgusting cracking sound. Its eyes rolled forward to focus on me, and it grinned again. Its smile came with a sudden realization. It took a step back, allowing me to stand, but it was as if my body was filled with concrete. No, no, I whispered as I shook my head. No, no, no. This was my guardian angel. As if it could hear the thoughts in my head, it gave a slight nod, turned its hulking frame, and walked out of my door, somehow pulling its massive body through the relatively small doorway. I stood and watched it walk away, hoping it'd never return. But all it took was a glance back from the angel that I knew it wanted me to follow. And so I did. We walked out to the street and down the sidewalk. A quick look at my phone showed me it was close to 2 a.m. The odd car would pass by, but none so much as slowed down when passing the angel and I. I let it lead me to wherever it needed us to go. Neither of us spoke. We walked for what felt like over an hour until we finally reached a foul-smelling canal. The angel pointed a crooked finger down. I stood at the canal's edge, heart pounding against my chest. Something was down there, but my mind refused to acknowledge it. When I finally mustered the courage to use the flashlight on my phone, it trembled in my hand. There, laying perfectly still, was a man. His face appeared swollen, his puffy neck pulled to an unnatural angle, and what seemed to be the protrusions from broken bones poked through his clothes. I'd never seen a dead body before, and even so, despite that, it wasn't the shock of that moment that truly made my skin crawl. When I shone a light onto the man's face, I saw that he was me. How could this be possible? I wasn't dead. I didn't do the things I had thought about last night. Had I? Was all of this some sort of hallucination? No, no, this can't be me. How could I be dead? I'm standing right here, I yelled at the angel. This has to be some kind of misunderstanding or an awful nightmare. I I turned to the angel, expecting some kind of answer, but all I got in return was that horrible wide smile. Say something, damn it! I'm not dead! I shouted, furious at what the angel had shown me. It has to be some sort of trick or hallucination it was inducing. Stop smiling. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. The angel took a slow step toward me, and I backed up. It took another step. This time, I stumbled. Fear shot through my body. My movements were shaky. I contemplated grabbing a fistful of dirt and throwing it at the creature to distract it while I ran, but thoughts of how that plan had failed back at my apartment flashed through my mind. Maybe if I just turned and ran? Could I go to a friend's house? No, no one was close enough on foot. A police station? None are open at 2 a.m., and besides, I couldn't tell them I was being pursued by an angel from hell. What if I camped inside a convenience store? Just until I felt it was safe. I settled on my plan, but the angel had me by the jugular before I could turn and run. Advertisements. It held me in the air as I struggled to breathe. Its smile seemed to be growing more expansive, and its dark pupils now filled the entirety of its sclera. It held me over the edge of the canal, stretching out its arm until I was directly over my own dead body. Get in, it shouted with a visceral hiss. Get in. Its eyes flashed rainbow colors. Get in, get in, get in, get in. It shook me up and down. Your body, your future. It mocked me, unhinging its jaw again and playing back the sound of me crying. I screamed, begging anyone or anything to save me from this demon. I don't want to die, I pleaded. I don't want that future. I just want to be happy. I struggled against the angel, but its ice-cold grip locked me in place. I feared that if it didn't kill me after dropping me into my dead body down there, it would do so by freezing my airway.